By the way, the church grew in the temple courts, Acts 4 and 5 and onward says, and it launched to the ends of the earth. In AD 70, when the Romans destroyed the temple, God had already set up his individual temples, all the individual believers, and they were scattered all over the world. So, by the way, the theme, this is another one of those many charts we give our students. I know you can't see it. It doesn't matter if you can't see it. I'm telling you what it says, okay? But it's the 27 books of the New Testament, their dates, where they were written, and the message. And it's chart number 3 on Facebook. I mean, praise God, Facebook lets anything be on Facebook, including God's things, and I'm thankful for it. So the date, you see the red box? The book of Acts was written between 61 and 63 AD. That's during Paul's imprisonment. What does that matter? Well, have you ever thought about jurisprudence? You ever thought about law? I mean, our legal system in America and the United Kingdom and basically Western society is based on Roman law. So is our representative government based on that. I mean, we have a Senate like they have a Senate, and our senators act almost as badly as their senators acted, and so do our presidents. But it doesn't matter. But think about the legal system. As a citizen, Paul stood at the end of Acts and said, I appeal to Caesar. Boom! That clicked into motion the entire machinery of the Roman legal system. The emperor was the last word. You talk about Supreme Court. He was the Supreme Court. I mean, boom, whatever he said happened. But they went through all the machinery. So his lawyers had to receive the case of each citizen that's coming. So guess what the case was? This doctor, Paul picked up in Philippi. That's where Luke was from. That's where he shows up in the book of Acts. And he might have been the man telling Paul to come over, in the Macedonian call, but it doesn't matter. We're not on that chapter. But he wrote 2 books. 28% of the New Testament was written by Luke, right? The Gospel by Luke and Acts. It's a 2-part story. In fact, it just ends in Acts 24 and picks right up in Luke 24, and it picks right up in Acts 1. It's just one continuous story. Have you ever noticed that in Luke and Acts, Roman soldiers are always noble, and so are centurions, and so are the judges, and so are the... Have you ever noticed that every time you see the Roman government, it's always Paul is law-abiding, and he is... It's not written as an accusation against the Roman Empire. Why? Well, first of all, because that was the purpose, but secondly, because it was the attending documentation for the case. That's why it was written before Paul's big trial. Luke was just busily, during Caesarea, gathering all the information, traveling all around, going to Jerusalem, interviewing everybody he could, and God was inspiring him to write the most magnificent account of the life of Christ for the Greek world. Remember, Mark wrote for the Roman world, Matthew wrote for the Jewish world, and John wrote for the whole world. You all know that from studying the Gospels. But Luke compiles all this under the inspiration of God. Paul sails to Rome, and he's there 2 more years, waiting for the trial. It says that at the end of the book of Acts. And this 2-volume set was most likely turned in for Nero's lawyers to read. You ever wonder why there were so many believers in the household of Caesar? I mean, it's amazing, but that's why it was written. That's not what I'm teaching on today. I don't know how I get so far off the little red boxes, but it's before Paul's release in AD 63. But look at the theme of the message. Just like James is about authentic Christianity and Galatians is genuine salvation is by grace, not works. What is Acts about? How the gospel went global. That was God's plan. Always has been God's plan.